Welcome to the First Home Show podcast, created for first home buyers. I'm your host, Melissa Barlas. I'm a property lawyer, owner and founder of Conveyed, and I've been a first home buyer myself. In this podcast, I'm going to show you in up to 10 short-minute increments what you need to know as a first home buyer, and I'll share with you all of my legal tips on how to purchase your first home successfully. Don't go it alone in the property market. We at Conveyed are here for you. Hi, welcome back to the First Home Show, your trusted source for real estate updates and property insights for yourself if you're a first home buyer. I'm your host, I'm Melissa Barlas, owner and founder of Conveyed, which is a conveyancing law firm. And today we are diving into the hot topic at the moment in the property space for property owners in Victoria specifically. And that is the recent land tax increases that were set to take effect, so a lot of them from the 1st of January 2024. So if you're a first home buyer or first time investor in Victoria, you'll actually want to pay very close attention to these changes and this podcast episode, because it can have a very significant impact, I guess, from a financial perspective and from an investment strategy point of view as well. So let's unpack what you need to know, and let's start off. So first off, what exactly are these changes? We need to identify what they are. Why are they happening as well? So from the 1st of January 2024, the Victorian government announced adjustments to land tax rates and thresholds across the Victorian state as part of their COVID debt repayment plan. So this episode, I should add, is current as of, 2024. Of course, it's always open for the state government to amend regimes when it comes to taxes. So please be mindful that it is, of course, subject to change when it comes to land tax and state taxes. So I just wanted to make a note of that. But let's get into the specifics. What are the main land tax changes? I'm going to cover some of them. I won't be able to cover all of them because I think it will just take forever, because there is quite a few, but I wanted to stick to the main ones that would affect most people. But please note, I'm going to get into the legal side of things now. This is general information only, and it by no way constitutes independent advice. So I do recommend, if you'd like to explore this topic further, speak to your conveyancer or your chartered accountant for more information. So firstly, the first land tax update I wanted to note is the COVID levy that's being charged on properties with a site value of $50,000 or more. So this levy starts from $500 each calendar year, and it works its way up from there depending on the site value of the property. And this levy is being charged in addition to standard land tax. So as a result of this levy, many investors are seeing their land tax assessment notices and noticing that there is a significant increase in their land tax purely as a result of this COVID levy, because it's charged in addition to standard land tax. So it has resulted in some people selling off in Victoria and then buying in other states. The second land tax regime change is to the vacant residential land tax regime. So that regime has expanded from applying to only inner metro Melbourne areas. It's expanded to the entire Victorian state. So previously, the vacant residential land tax was charged to properties that are located within the inner or mid Melbourne areas if the property is vacant for 6 months or more. So that's just a generic overview. But now this tax is actually expanded to all residential properties in Victoria. So that includes metro and regional. So not only is it expanded, but the rate of the land tax is increased from 1% to 3%, where the owner is liable to pay for 3% if the tax applies for 3 consecutive years. So it goes up from 1% a year on top of your standard land tax to 3%, where the owner is liable to pay for this tax for 3 consecutive years or more. Thirdly, and this will start from the 1st of January 2026, if a Metro Melbourne property remains undeveloped, so unimproved, for at least 5 years, the property is capable of residential development. So I'll start that again. Starting from the 1st of January 2026, if a Metro Melbourne property remains undeveloped for at least 5 years and the property is capable of residential development, you'll be slapped with an unimproved residential land tax. So that's what happens. The only exclusion from that is land areas that might be contiguous to a property that you might live in as a home, like a tennis court or a swimming pool, or land that's not necessarily capable of being developed or used for residential purposes. So those scenarios, this tax wouldn't really apply. But you need to be aware of it, particularly if you've got family, you know someone, or if you yourself are sitting on a land lot that you've bought for the first time and it hasn't been built on yet. You need to be mindful of this upcoming tax. Fourthly, and this will be welcomed by purchasers, it's not a negative for purchasers, sellers can't, by law, pass on, and this is from the start of this year, pass on windfall gains tax to a buyer under a sale contract where windfall gains tax is assessed. So broadly speaking, landowners are liable to pay windfall land tax when a government rezoning results in a taxable value uplift to their land of more than 100,000, and it is subject to limited exclusions. So on a practical level, this tax might apply, for example, if you've got a massive land site in farmland and it gets rezoned to residential, for example, and it results in a value uplift. So that's the tax that I'm talking about, and sellers cannot pass that tax onto a buyer under a contract of sale where it's been assessed as at the time that the property is sold. So what does this mean for property owners? Well, if you own a property in Victoria, you may see an increase in your land tax bill come 2024. So that's what this all means with the changes to the land tax regimes. So it's essential to factor these land tax changes that I've explained into your financial planning and your budgeting moving forward. So now you might be wondering, how can I actually prepare for these land tax increases in advance? Well, firstly, very important, stay informed about the new rates and the thresholds. Don't just rely on what I'm saying. I'm giving you an overview. We've got a 10-minute long podcast episode, so there's only so much I can fit into that. But look into it yourself on the State Revenue Office website. And there's many publications as well out there by lawyers and others about these land tax changes. And understanding how they apply to your property portfolio is very crucial for making informed decisions as well. Secondly, consider consulting with a qualified tax advisor or a property expert to assess the impact of these changes on your specific situation. For example, you might want to speak to a conveyancing lawyer or an experienced accountant with an understanding about investments. They can actually provide tailored advice and strategies to help minimize your tax liabilities where possible. And lastly, just stay proactive and adaptable. Property markets and tax regulations are constantly evolving. So staying ahead of the curve is very important, and it's a key to, I guess, maximizing your investments and financial security. And that is it for today's episode. I hope you found this overview of Victoria's land tax increases insightful and actionable. I thank you so much for tuning in once again, and until next time, happy property hunting.